So welcome everybody. I'm very happy to be here with you. You are in the session called Let's Give Them Something to Talk About. And my name is Kim Vogie. Thanks for being here, and we will have some active participation. So I'll look to the chat as I can. If you see me looking up, that means I'm looking at my chat and all of your faces. And then if you see me looking like when I'm sharing my screen, I'll be back down at the center of my screen. So sorry if that's disconcerting to you. It was better than looking over to my right though. So here again's the slides as we get some more people in here. And so thanks for being here, and we'll go ahead and get started. Let me share my screen. And sorry, I'm just getting some resizing done and we will get going. All right. And Noelle, can you give me a thumbs up if you can see my screen? Yay, thank you. Okay. Oh, and let me get, okay, put the chat in my corner. Feel free to interrupt me if you need to. I don't have a problem with that. I'll try to monitor the chat as best I can. And I know that our awesome gosh, I can't think of the moderator will be doing that as well. So anyway, you are here for Let's Give Them Something to Talk About. My name is Kim Vogie, and I am an educator for starting my 29th year in education. I'm currently a coordinator of professional development in Fontana Unified. Before that, I was in Placentia Yorba Linda as a teacher and a TOSA and starter of a virtual school. And I am also a content creator, and I'm an author now. So I'm going to be sharing some things with you from my book, but all my templates are free and available, and I've got resources that'll help us, I hope help you out. So thank you all for being here. And I know we had some more people enter. Oh, our moderator, wonderful. She took care of adding the presentation slides, so I don't have to do that anymore. Thank you. All right. Our table of contents for the next hour include, sorry about that, include thin slides, thick slides, and Iron Chef. And on like if we think of a scale of 1 to 5, how many of you have heard of the term and know and understand what EduProtocols are? You'd give yourself up to word like a 4 and a 5, a 1 if you've never heard of EduProtocols. So go ahead and give me a little 1 to 5 in the chat. Lots of newbies. Wonderful. Okay. Very good. All righty. So EduProtocols might be something that many of you have not heard of, or maybe you've heard the name. All an EduProtocol is a frame for learning. And those of you who might be my old school teachers, you used to have an overhead projector. And on the right-hand side of your overhead projector, you had a little pile of slides that you could take out and slide right on the glass that were like your graphic organizers you always used. That is kind of like what EduProtocols are as far as getting them going looking at as a template or a frame for learning. So they are replicable. They are usable across all content areas. They really help our students be able to show what they know and give us a good idea of what they're doing rather than us doing all the work. So they've got they're doing the heavy lifting instead of us. So we're going to start with a thin slide. So with a thin slide, you can get information from your students very quickly. You can use it as an intro, an exit ticket, or check for understanding. Our thin slides usually have one image and then one word or sentence. And the big thing here is that every student in the class verbally shares their slides. So if you usually have that little can of popsicle sticks with your student names on them, you're not going to need those anymore because we're picking on all the kids. So we're going to start off with a thin slide as a group, and we're a little bit of a large group, but we're going to navigate our way through a shared slide deck as best we can. I'm going to have to add some slides as I see there's 70 people in here now, which is awesome. So it might get bogged down a little bit, but we will take it for what it's worth and make it work. Let me tell you what a thin slide is. So this is a recipe card for our EduProtocols. You will find 3 of them in this presentation, and I have them for all of our EduProtocols as you learn them. And so this I put in my lesson plans as just a reminder of what it is I'm going to be doing and a visual cue for my students. So on a thin slide, you're going to put one word or phrase along with one image. You're going to be creating one slide, and you're going to have about 3 minutes to do that. And this is where the EduProtocols really create wins in your classroom because of those time constraints. When we give kids 20 minutes to do something, when do they start it? Like at minute 15, right? So if we tighten up that amount of time for our students, we're going to get them in doing this right away. You can use thin slides on your first day of class as ways to get to know your students. You could have them put down something they love about school, something they don't love about school. It could be this one, which is going to be, I'm going to have you put in your least favorite food. So if you can navigate yourselves into the slide deck, for those of you just joining us, there's the slide deck again. And if you get to slide 6, you're going to see, let's build a thin slide. So we're going to open up that slide deck. I'll give you a chance to get there, and that'll give me a chance to make some more slides real quickly. You'll notice that my prep time for this activity is like 0 because I already have the thin slides ready to go, and I recycle the deck, or I make a copy of the blank deck and get my students in that deck as soon as possible. If you're using Pear Deck or Nearpod, you can do this with a building activity in there rather than having to create the slide deck from scratch, or having kids work on the same slide deck. Now we're all adult learners, and hold on one second. Let me get some more slides made real quickly in here. We're all adult learners, and we don't write on each other's slides like kids do, but we know that can happen. And so give me a second here to get some more slides. We should be close. I never know how many people are going to show up. So if it gets too bogged down, it's okay. And we should have enough slides now. So what you're going to do on your slide, and I have a reminder up at the beginning, you're going to be creating a thin slide about food people should not eat. So on your thin slide, you are going to have the components that are listed on slide 2. One word or phrase, one image, and you're going to create this in 3 minutes or less. So on your slide, you're going to put your name. So I might put my name right here. I'm going to put Kim. And the food that I think you should not eat is eggs. And you can go to insert images from Google, or just so you know, I don't know if you know about the Explore tool. I'm going to click on the Explore tool in the lower right-hand corner, and I can do basically a Google search right here within my document, and or get me out to the internet. So I'm going to type in eggs. I'm going to go to images, and now, ooh, gosh, where's a big old fried yucky egg? Sorry, I have an egg thing. It is not good. My husband likes to taunt me with a runny yolk. And here's my egg, and I can slide that right on the page. So, and it already cites the image for me, which is nice. So go ahead and grab a slide. If there's not one, you can always copy and paste and make yourself one, and put your name on it, and then your food. And you feel free to add any color that you'd like to. If you want to change the background color, only change it on your slide, please. and I'm going to give you 2 to 3 minutes to work on that. If you have any questions, you can unmute and ask, or ask me in the chat either as well. So 2 minutes to build. And I've got it on the clock. I love how you guys, some of you are putting the no symbol on there. Oh, we've got adjectives being added as well. I like it, Deborah. If I were in my classroom, I'd be walking around giving students some help if they needed it, or affirming what they're doing. Since I'm online with you, and some of you might be teaching virtually, I used instead of the slide sorter view where I can just see one slide in the film strip on the left, I would be I'm using the grid view so I can see all of them. Robin, you don't see this slide to get in here. In our main slide deck that you were on, it's on slide 6 is the Let's Build a Thin slide. I'm going to also share the practice deck in the chat in case you're not in the main slide deck too, or may have too many tabs open. So thanks for letting me know. Oh, okay. And I just put this slide deck in the chat as well. So we have about 30 seconds left to build your slide. Some of you have finished up, so you're changing fonts, you're adding colors, word art, all great ideas. Some of you might even find a GIF. There might be too many people on it if you can no longer edit. Sorry, Christina. Okay, no problem. Our time is up. So that was a quick build. Now what happens is, if I were in my classroom, I would actually have everybody stand up. So we have a little change of state. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to model how you're going to share. And then if you're the first couple people after my egg, I'm going to have you share. I'll show you again, Susan. I'm going to have you share if you don't mind unmuting. And hopefully that'll work out. So my food that you should not eat is eggs. I don't mind them if they're beaten in a cake, but I cannot handle a scrambled egg or anything. I liked them until I was 5. And when I was 5, I figured out my mom didn't like eggs, and then I decided not to like eggs. So hard boiled, not going to happen. I will give you the egg off my salad anytime, and I don't want it to even touch anything that I'm going to eat. That's just me and eggs. Paula, if you could go ahead and unmute and share.
My worst food would be my dad's refrigerator stew. When it came time to clean out the refrigerator, everything went in one pot, and he managed to make the whole family sick one time. So yeah, definitely not a go for.
No, I agree. All right, Norma, can you unmute and share?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
It's brains. When I was little, I went to visit my family and they had brains. I tasted it, never again.
Right.
Yes.
And one more, Paula, can you share about food dye?
Sure thing. So food dye is in so many ways super bad for you, and it can make people sad, depressed. It can make people hyper. It can do all sorts of crazy things to your body. So I think we should stay away from it.
All right, very good. Now, if I were in my classroom, I would have all of my students continue on. Since we have, I think now 70 or 80 of us in here, I'm not going to do that. But I think you can see that this is a real quick, either check for understanding, exit ticket. Maybe I taught you guys about triangles yesterday, and when you come in the next morning, I'm going to have you make a thin slide with a triangle that you're going to show me one of the 6 ways that we name triangles. And you go find a picture and you are going to put your classification on there, obtuse, acute, or whatever. So I can also do this. I don't know your feelings on KWL charts, but I always hated writing what kids think they know when it's wrong, because once the teacher writes it, that kind of validates it. So if I do an introductory activity and say, okay, boys and girls, tell me something you know about sharks on the thin slide, just pick one thing you know about sharks and put a picture on there. We could still then build off of that thin slide and use it the one time. And then as we learn new information, go add to it and then cross out the information that we learned that ends up being wrong about it. So this is the magic of the thin slide. So on the first day of school, which is going to be coming up for some of you quickly, you might even do this. What's the food you don't like? What's the dessert you do like? What's what if you're getting ready to go out on the playground, what's a piece of playground equipment you know how to use, so that they can share the proper way to use the swing or the slide or whatever. So you can turn this into socio-emotional learning, getting to know each other, reviewing a rule, all sorts of things. So there was a question in the how did I get to the explore. So on let me go to a blank slide. Down here in the bottom right hand corner is the explore tool. So kids can get images that are copyright friendly right from here, rather than having to go to Google Images. And you just type in what you want to look for. I'm just going to type in puppy. That's usually safe. And then you click on images, and you can grab an image and just plop it right on the page. And it is already linked and like cited as far as a reference for you for that. And also, I just want to show you, in case you missed it, this right now we're in like that film strip view. This kind of grid view is super helpful when you are in a class and you want to kind of look at what everybody's doing. You do have to train your kids how to interact in a slide deck with everybody else there. My students all had a number. I still, of course, called them by their name, but by the numbering, they knew if they were student 32 alphabetically, they would go to slide 32. And in this case, since I used the first 2 slides as my introductory slides, students 1 and 2 would just go to the bottom of the slide deck. And so they always knew where to go on the slide deck, which was really handy. So that might be something that you consider. Okay, let me get back to the main slide deck, and I'm looking at the questions in here in the chat. Any tips on getting students to work fast for this assignment? So Deborah, it's building up their muscle memory on knowing what to do on the assignment. So the first time they're going to do this, they're going to take 5 minutes, and that's okay. You just have to accept the fact that that's how long it's going to take. Then they're going to get really good, and when you cut them off, they're going to start getting better and faster at it. It's kind of like how, I don't know how many of you are elementary, but picture day, no matter what, picture day is going to suck an hour out of your day. It doesn't matter how many cameras they have. It doesn't matter how many classes they bring in there at once. It's always going to take an hour to get through picture day. And so that's just the way it is. So the first time you're going to be doing this, it's going to take 5 to 10 minutes as we start to learn this, but you can't give up on the kids. You got to keep at it, and eventually you'll get to that 3-minute build time. Kathy says, how do you store this in Drive to access for other lessons and organization? Okay, so my Drive, I'll be honest, is a hot mess. And that's why I love Google's search feature. So I can usually go in and find it pretty well. But you might create a set of templates. And like I probably call this one template thin slide. Then I can go in and grab it, make a copy, and use it for that current day's lesson. Okay, so great questions. Any other questions? And you can feel free to unmute or ask away. So before we move on to thick slides, the best way I ever used thin slides, and it was totally on a whim, and I was being observed, so it was not necessarily the best time to go ahead and try this, but it worked. We in 5th grade do document-based questions, DBQs. And in the DBQ it's this essay that is written for not necessarily the fifth grade. It's written for a higher level. So what I normally would do when teaching a background essay is I would kind of explain each sentence to my students. And I know many of you have done this with your students in the past. And so I don't want to explain each sentence. I want them to start doing the work, because whoever's doing the talking is doing the learning. So with the background essay, I went through and found the vocabulary and the terms and the maps or locations, people, anything we would need to know in the order in which it occurred in the background essay. And I told the kids, I'm going to read you this background essay about Magellan and how he circumnavigated the globe. And I'm not going to explain anything to you. So if you're confused, it's okay. We're just going to read it so you get the idea. So it's that cold read. And then I assigned them their slides, and they went through and did like, they had to find a picture and explain their word if they knew what it meant. So spices, Strait of Magellan, ship, sail, whatever it may be. And then we read, I had them all stand up and we read the essay again. And every time we came to one of their words, they read out their information. So Danica told us about spices. Danica told us great information about spices. So I got to just move on to the next thing. But let's just say the person who did Strait of Magellan, they put a map up there, but they couldn't really explain the Strait of Magellan. So then I kind of took over and did like my mini lecture within that time. So rather than telling them all the information, I let them build the information for me, and they did the work. So they were doing the learning. Then we read the essay one more time, and they were able to do the comprehension questions no problem and engage in really great discourse about that background essay. Okay, so
Can I ask a quick question?
yes, please.
I'm sorry, when you said you read the essay on the slides, did each slide have a separate word and the kids just had to go to that particular slide?
Yes. So I built the slides in order of so I wrote like paragraph 1, spices. So Danica, who happened to be that student, would know that in paragraph 1 was that. So I did it in the order they occurred, so that when I was reading it through again, it went real simple, right, streamlined right through the essay. Does that make sense?
Yes, that's brilliant. Thank you.
Oh, okay. Thank you. You paused, so I'm like, I don't know. Okay. Deborah, I see your hand.
I'm still a little confused myself. Did you put the word on each student's slide for them?
Yes.
So that's how they knew their word.
Yes. I
Okay.
pre-populated it so that it was ready to go for them rather than them having to do that.
Okay. And the reading was on their slide too?
No, I was reading to them.
were reading
They
out
had a
loud.
paper copy of the essay, but I was
Yeah.
reading it to them as well.
Got it. Thank you. I love this idea.
Yay, great. Okay. Wonderful. Well, so thin slides, I actually wanted to challenge myself to plan a whole day around thin slides where we did every subject just with thin slides, because I think you could do it. So if you're elementary and you ever tackle that, or if you're secondary and you say, I'm just going to thin slide my whole day, let me know, because I want to see what you end up doing. All right. So the polar opposite of a thin slide is now a thick slide. And I did not know about thick slides until the end of 2021. Yeah, so just a little bit, a year and a bit ago. So I've been rocking the EduProtocols from in 2018. I was using them when I was a coach. In 2019, I was in the 5th grade classroom face-to-face until March 2020. And then in fall of 2020, I started online school, and I was teaching 6th grade online virtually. And I didn't find out about thick slides until like March of that year. And I felt like, oh my gosh, where have thick slides been all of my life? A thick slide is a deconstructed paragraph. So I don't know if you've ever had your kids write you a paragraph and it kind of becomes like, I'm going to tell you all I know about Egypt. In Egypt, there are the pyramids, there were pharaohs, and they had the Nile River. That's all I know about Egypt. Now, have you ever gotten a paragraph like that? I'm pretty sure you have. Okay, so the thick slide will alleviate that. You can use the thick slide as like a graphic organizer, or it also can become the actual assignment. I actually use this. I teach a college course for Hope International, and I use this with my college students. And they were a little bit, they were struggling with it, and I struggled with thick slides at first too. But if I realize that I'm basically taking all the information I would put in absolutely boring paragraph and making it much more visually appealing and much more fun to read, and connecting my learning in different ways, that's why the thick slide totally works. So a thick slide is going to have a title and a subtitle, which the subtitle can actually become a really great topic sentence. And I'm going to have a quote in there, maybe a first and or third person quote. It can be a quote I make up or a quote that I find. I'm going to list 4 to 6 facts, and this is when students can learn to paraphrase as well. I'm going to have 2 pictures with captions, and I'm going to be comparing it with something else. And the comparison really sticks a lot of people because you're like, what am I comparing it to? The great thing here is we can make it open-ended so you can compare it to whatever you like, or we compare it to something that I provide for you. So let me show you some examples. With all the EduProtocols, I start my students with something that is non-content. So just like we just did with the thin slide of a food you wouldn't eat, you want to do any EduProtocol with something non-content. So this is one of my students, they had to pick their favorite food. So here's their title, Caramel Ribbon Frappuccino from Starbucks. Their subtitle, Live, Love, Starbucks. And then her quote, I'm the thing people wake up for in the morning. Maybe she came up with that on her own. Maybe she found it on something, I don't know. Her 4 facts over here on the right-hand side, I think that I don't think she researched these facts. I think that she knew these facts, totally fine for this first time out. And then her comparisons, Frappuccino and a smoothie, both are served cold. Frappuccino and a Slurpee, both are sugary drinks. And Frappuccino and coffee both contain caffeine. So she worked that comparison chart to hers. Kathy's right. This is very reminiscent of a one-pager. You are correct. Here's my student Bridger. He did burgers. Now, we need to have a talk with him about graphic design. He's got great information. It's just really hard to read. So I need to teach him how to make his picture, like scale his picture down a little bit or put some background behind his wordings. But I didn't know that during World War II, the US government tried to remove rename the hamburger, sorry, as a Liberty sandwich. I had no idea. I thought that was pretty cool. So his comparison chart, super weak. He kind of compared, like a Whopper and a cheeseburger, a double and a cheese slider. So they were kind of weak this time, but that's where I give him the feedback instantly so he knows I need to do something different the next time. Now, since my students were virtual, I would leave them comments right on their slide. With the comment feature, I would just go right here to comment and do the plus sign. There we go. And I would tag him in here in his email, and it would send him the comment right then and there. So no more grading on paper with red ink that kids are never going to read. Let's give him the feedback right now so he could go in and make those changes. If I'm in the classroom, I'm going to be walking around looking at their thick slides saying, hey, let's take another look at those comparisons and figure out something we can compare with the hamburger. It's fine if you want to compare different fast food chains. I could have the Whopper and then the Big Mac. So I could put in here fast food, and then I could put in here sit down restaurants or whatever it may be. Oh, hey, Kristen. Yes, awesome way to make the feedback in person for sure. If we give them the feedback right in real time, they can go make the change right then and there. They're not going to look at the papers that you spend hours on your weekend grading. Let's just be honest. And then my student Nerali, she loved making her thick slides. So she did one on boba tea. Her subtitle was Tea and Bubble Tea. And then her quotes were, you deserve happiness, you deserve me, bubble tea. Now, I don't know if she saw that as a slogan somewhere, but I love it. And then I'm Boba's bestie. And so a little play on words there. And she has her facts over here and then her comparisons. So we are going to make a thick slide about your favorite food. Now, I do have to show off here real quickly. I made the charcuterie board out of these letters. It was super cute for Thanksgiving. And so I had to just share because I thought it was so fun. So this is what we're going to do. Last time we all got into the same slide deck, and now we have almost 80 people in here. And so, or over 80 people. So I don't think that's going to work. So here's what I want you to do. This is going to be 2 steps. So hang in there with me. You're going to click where it says template, and you're going to go to this thick slide template. And from here, you're going to click use template, and it will make a copy just for you. Okay. So you're going to get your thick slide. You're going to make it right here. I'm going to give you like 5 to 6 minutes to create this. You could do your favorite food. You could do your favorite movie. You could do your favorite actor. I don't care. Whatever you're feeling. It's summer. Do you. Okay. And then to share it, because we want to see everybody's, you're going to go to this Wakelet that I've linked right below the template. And Wakelet's a great way for you to be able to share. And when you go there, you'll see there's already some there from another training that I did. But you're going to share on this Wakelet. So we're spinning a little bit. Here we go. Okay. All right. So I'll let that load. There we go. You'll share your thick slide, and you'll just, when you make your thick slide, oops, come on. When you make your thick slide, I don't know if you're all pro Google users, you'll have to go to share after you make your slide, and you're going to make sure you have it so that anyone with the link can view, and then you're going to copy that, and that's what you put on the Wakelet. Kathy, I'll tell you about the template button after people do this, okay? The Wakelet button is on the round 1 slide. So on slide 12 in the main slide deck, you'll find the template and the Wakelet button, okay? So your goal is to make a thick slide and then put it on that Wakelet, all right? If you need any tutoring or help, feel free to unmute or put it in the chat, and I will help you while others are working.
Kim, there's a question in the chat. I don't know if you addressed it, from Norma.
I may not have seen it. Let me roll back. Oh, Norma says, when you introduce a new protocol, do you tell them the name thick slide and then keep calling that? I do. All the EduProtocols have unique names. They're kind of fun for that. And so the kids like that. They're like, oh, this is a thick slide. Kylie, great question. Kylie said, is there a theme for this? You could do your favorite food. You can do your favorite movie. It's summer. I don't particularly care on this. I just wanted you to have fun making a slide on your Thursday morning. So you can make whatever you would like. Last night I had an amazing little banana cream pie from Earth Cafe down at the Orange Circle. So I'd probably be making one on a banana cream pie.
How did you get it so that when we clicked on the button, it said make template? How would we do that for our kids?
Okay, so let me show you. So when you click on it, you notice up here in the URL, it says template/preview.
Yeah.
So that's what you go and change out on your slide that you want on your template. That's how you do that for your kids. If I know there's direction, I don't think I have directions somewhere. So this is what I do when I can't remember how to do something. I go, how do I make a slide into a template?
Thank you.
And then there'll be some really, let's see, is it gonna, how to create a Google slide template. Usually there's a little video that'll show you.
Okay.
And go ahead.
What was the purpose of making the template instead of just having us do a shared
So great question.
slideshow?
We have 80 people in here at this point, and so getting 80 of you on slides wasn't great for thin slides. It was okay, but I just wanted to show you another way you could do this with using Wakelet if you're working with a large group of people, or you want just if you were having students do things individually and then want to have a different place to share it on the Wakelet. So it's just so you have multiple tools.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Kathy. Yes, Google does not need a full sentence. Yeah, just the keywords. All right. And I'm going to flip to the Wakelet so that we can see when people are getting some things put on there. We're loading slowly, but that's okay. We've got everything from bananas to roller coasters to sourdough bread. So anything goes in here. I didn't set a timer. So I'm going to set a timer for 4 minutes. And then we'll see what you got. You may not have it finished, and that's okay. Hello, Lisa Chavez. I think I saw you. Yes. Oh, Murano glass. I like it. Someone maybe just went on a vacation recently. Now, those of you who may have posted on here, if you didn't adjust your share settings before you posted, that's why it'll say to sign in. You do have to do the everyone with the link can view. So that might be why that has happened. We have about a minute left. Go ahead, Deborah.
I'm a little confused on the comparison. I'm doing sushi.
Okay, so you could compare some sort of ingredient, like you could compare the base. I don't eat any fish, so especially not, I use raw fish for bait. So it's hard for me to know the different things, but you could do like the different like you could put white fish and then maybe the 2 different types of white fish that they might use for sushi, or toppings, or the sauces. I think you could put like sauces, you could put wasabi and whatever. So you can make the comparison be whatever you want it to be, which is sometimes hard for us adults because we so want you to tell me, Kim, what to do. And it's hard for our kids also, but it's one of those productive struggles that kids get in there and really start to compare things that you would not have normally compared as well. So you can define it for them, or you can let them have some freedom. So does that help at all?
Kind of. I still don't know what I'm trying to I mean, I'm just thinking of something to compare it to and then telling you how it's the same.
Yes. So it can be either way. It can be how they're different, or how so it can be a compare or a contrast. What it would make more sense if you took the thick slide and turned it into a paragraph then, because you could then explain those things better. Just in the little table, there's not much room or need for explanation, because also I'm going to have my students present these verbally, and so I would be able to ask them what they were doing, and they'd be able to explain as they go.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Kim, it looks like Wakelet is not letting someone paste the link.
Okay. That I'm not sure about why. I'm sorry about that. Oh, sorry, Kristen. I'm not sure why either. Okay. Thank you for trying to do that. The timer went off, and so on my over here for me. And so I'm just going to pull open a couple of these and see. We've got this thick slide being done about Italy, Murano, Italy. Got a great picture starting to compare some cities in Italy, and then maybe what they're known for. So whoever this is, I'm not sure who you are. Let's see, can I see your name? Norma is using our comparison chart to compare cities and what those cities are known for. Great comparison, and she would explain that as we were presenting. So this would be another time where, okay, ladies and gentlemen, stand on up, and now we're going to have you explain your slides. Again, laying the groundwork for a report. Could a student do a report about a country with 3 thick slides? You bet. They could focus on a famous person, a famous location, and then what the country is known for, each on a thick slide. And that's way more fun to write than your typical country report where you can't reword facts, so we can stack 3 of these together, add an intro and a conclusion, and we've got a full report. we don't have time to do a second example, but I did have a cute one in here with your favorite animals. Mine, I love the red panda. I think they're so adorable. But I wanted to show you some ways I've used this in classrooms with my students, and then take your questions if you have any. So when it comes to social studies, we were doing a unit on Roman art, and I wanted to use thick slides as a review before the test. And what I did is at that point, I had 60 sixth graders in my online sixth grade. And so I found 60 terms that they were going to need for the test, and assigned them each a slide, and they had to create a thick slide about that term. Then they had to go and, using the comment feature, add another piece of information to 3 of the slides, because as they were reviewing, they were studying. So it was a kind of a way to, you know how you slip the zucchini in the muffins and you're eating vegetables in your zucchini muffin? We're going to slip the vegetables in here, slip the learning in as they study for a test. So if my students, one of them did Roman art, and then Roman literature and Roman Colosseum. And as they went in, they would add more information to each other's slides to help it out. And they were studying and didn't even realize they were studying. So that's just a couple of a social studies example for that. But again, we could have the students create 3 thick slides about X, Y, or Z, and then boom, you have a report. Okay. Yeah, they could do the peer comments, Kathy, and get information from each other and add to it. For language arts, we had read Percy Jackson, and I think theme is really hard for 6th graders to understand when you look at like a whole novel. So I gave them what the themes were in the Percy Jackson Lightning Thief book. And then I gave them the parameters that their slide they had to change the font. They had to have their fact or evidence, at least 1 picture. I defined the comparison for them. You're going to compare to yourself, a character in the book, or a character in another movie or story. Delete any of the unnecessary brackets. So I'm getting some of the text skills in there, and use flat icon if necessary to give them some images. And so this was the, oh no, did I not put his sample in here? Oh no. Oh shoot. Darn it. Okay, hold on. I'm going to get you a sample. Let's see. Oh, I need to go to my drive. Sorry, guys. I have this great sample from one of my students. Okay, cool. Let me see if it's in this drive. It might be in my other drive. Oh, it's here. I don't know how that came out of there. All right. Here we go. He picked lies and deception, and he compared it to Rogue One, and he compared the main character is like a hero, and so he said Percy is like Harry Potter, Annabeth is like Hermione, and I know I'm going to say it right, I think it's Chiron, is like Dumbledore. And then he had the evidence in the book about the lies and deception. So let me copy this slide, and I'll put it over in here in your deck. It always seems to be getting me not the last thing. There we go. Copy. Try this again. Thank you for your patience. There we go. Now you've got a student example. Okay. All right. Yes. Okay, great. Okay. Oops. Okay. And then research. This is one of the first ones I did with my students. After they did that food one, I gave them another fun one to do. And originally I had a spin the wheel thing, but flippity broke last summer. And so I changed it to roll the dice. So I think I put, oh, you can go into just Google and type in roll the dice and it'll get you a dice, or even tell Siri, hey Siri. I honestly don't care which number the kids get. But they had to, they got to pick one of these funky animals and then fill in a slide for that animal. So the tardigrade, this is a funky animal. It's called the water bear. I mean, what could be more fun than a water bear? It's a microscopic water bear. And so they would research their animals. So I was teaching them how to research with something fun and low cognitive load before they then did their research on their own project. So they also had to give each other a glow and a grow on their slides. So we were teaching students how to leave a compliment, and then how to tactfully tell someone an area in which they could improve. And so after they had done the practices, what turned out to be like their research report. Now we were getting towards the end of the year at this point, and they were kind of done with school. So I was like pulling out anything to make it kind of fun. So they had to pick whatever they wanted to research and an adjacent adjacent topic. So some kids chose lacrosse, and then they chose their favorite lacrosse player. Some kids chose skateboarding and Tony Hawk. This child chose snowy owls and did a beautiful slide about snowy owls. And then the adjacent topic was the Arctic tundra. So they got to turn it into what they wanted to. And then they did have to hand draw a picture. And I don't know if you know this, but you can insert a picture on a slide very easily. If you go to the insert menu and go to image, there's a camera tool right here. And so you can insert, like if kids draw something on a piece of paper, they can click that camera tool and take a picture and put it right on their slide. So that was what took us through the thick slide. I know we have some questions in here, so let me go back in here and look real quick. Do you have students write up their slides in paragraph form? I have not, Deborah, but you can. It can absolutely be. Now you're going to put this in a paragraph, and I want you to see how much better your writing is than if I had you do the let me tell you about, because you're not going to get let me tell you about the snowy owl by doing this. Okay. Okay, thanks, Jen. Oh, Jen's here. Hi, Jen. Thank you. What did I call the second slide? An adjacent or related topic, I think, Kathy. Okay. So, okay, very good. Questions you have about the thick slide? Anyone have anything? What's great is if you're elementary and you're teaching multiple subjects, when I use thick slides over in social studies, and I use them in science, and I use them in language arts, the kids know what needs to go on there. So I don't have to spend the time explaining the graphic organizer that I normally would have to do. Okay. Yay. Good. All right. Excellent. So we have 8 minutes left. Oh, is it always the same format? You can totally make your own format. You can change it up however you like and iterate. That's the great thing about the EduProtocols is we give you the template, but you can turn it into however you want to make it. And the iterations are incredible. And that's the part that just amazes me what you guys can do with it. I have a group of over 5,300 educators in a Facebook group. I'll give you the link in a bit. And people share what they do on there. And it's like, oh, I would have never thought to use it that way. So really cool ways to do that. Okay. All right. So Iron Chef. We're not going to actually have time to do an Iron Chef, but you probably learned in your teacher training how to jigsaw something, where we're going to give the students a chapter of information, let's say, and each person is going to go become an expert at a part of that, and we're going to come together and share our information. And Jennifer, I'll go back to that. In an Iron Chef, or in a typical jigsaw, I always got bogged down with kids need their home group and they need their expert group. And it was a lot more, it took me so much to arrange doing a jigsaw that I didn't want to do it. So using the Iron Chef protocol really makes a jigsaw much more attainable in a shorter amount of time. And we're going to be using short reading passages. So when I look at an Iron Chef, I'm going to be providing my students with one source. They're going to be finding facts and images. They're going to create one slide in groups of about 3 to 5, and they're going to do this in about 10 minutes. Now, the first time you do this, it will not take 10 minutes. It will take longer. A key factor on the Iron Chef is to have a secret ingredient, and it's just a way for kids to connect to the information. So I'm going to show you these templates and such in just a moment and show you some student examples. If we had longer, we would be going in here, and I turned 50 last year, so I am the ultimate Gen Xer 80s girl. If we were doing this as adult learners, I would be assigning you different 80s bands. And I would assign you, like, one group would have Depeche Mode, or one person would have Depeche Mode. I gave you the Wikipedia to Depeche Mode, and then you're going to read about Depeche Mode, and you're going to find out 2 facts, their influences, the title of an album, and the genre, and then a picture of the band, and then the secret ingredient, which says here, delete this text and then share a really amazing fact. So as you're reading the Depeche Mode page, you would find an amazing fact. Now, if you were me doing this page and Duran Duran was your band, because that's my band, my amazing fact would have been that Roger Taylor should have married me, because we all had our bandmate, right? That was going to be our one and only. So Roger Taylor was mine. So anyway, that's just our fun way we would do that if we were all together and had more time. And then I would have each person in the group to explain their slide. And you only have to present for like less than 1 minute. So this is a great way to get your students ready for an independent presentation, because if they're sharing their thin slide for 10 seconds, they share their thick slide for 30 seconds. And then we build up to sharing my slide on my group Iron Chef for a minute. I'm building up their stamina, learning how to present information in a great way. So anyway, that in a nutshell is the Iron Chef. Let me show you a quick example with students so you can see some student work. So for explorers, I don't make my slides overly pretty, which really is a struggle for me because I'm kind of like a visual person where I want things to like look pretty, but the kids can do that. I'm not going to do all the work, let them do the heavy lift. So I give them the basics and then they go make them pretty, visually appealing, whatever wording you want to use. Pardon me. So this one went along with our social studies book. We had like the Cliff's Notes of social studies in 5th grade is what I always called this book. So I broke it up by chunk. So each section, here's the section: the European discovery of America, goals of exploration, Spain conquers wealthy empires. That was the title of each section. And then their directions here were read your page in Unit 2, Lesson 2. Use the information you learned from Google Earth as well, because we had done the Google Earth, has some great references in there. And then in 20 words or less, write a summary of what you read or learned from this topic. And then the secret ingredient would be to delete this text and use one of the bold vocabulary words, so my content words, in a sentence that shows contextual meaning. So that was a way we did that in social studies. And then this one, this was fun. This one was actually shared with adults. We were Iron Chefing during the quarantine. A slice of classroom fun. Your students don't know the same cartoons you knew, of course. I was shocked at how many kids had not watched a Scooby-Doo when we started talking about mystery genre, but their Iron Chef on a certain cartoon had to be, they had to find the opening theme song. So one person found the opening theme song. One person found what that character would look like on Shelter in Place Day 1, the struggle after time in quarantine, and then how are you coping with self-care. So we just did this with different cartoons. So it's just a fun way. You want to introduce this with something fun. We do the history of the Big Mac or Disneyland on its opening day. You don't want to do this with like this example, this FCC right here is the First Continental Congress and the Second Continental Congress. You don't want to introduce that with this. Definitely not. So resources. real quickly, just so you know what you have here. There's free templates online. Here's a link to the Empowered Adventure group, which is my group of now 5,300 educators. I have aligned the EduProtocols to socio-emotional learning and UDL. I have those alignment docs there for you, and I've aligned them to your anchor standards for language arts and such. So Molly's saying it's a great group. You are so welcome. Yay. And then this is the gold, the piece of gold right here, EduProtocol master slides. So I've got master slide decks and student examples on this spreadsheet for you. And we have 1 minute left. So if you want to hang around for the raffle, I wrote a book during a pandemic because that's what you do. And the book came out in March, and I'd like to raffle off a copy. So I'm going to put this in here. Oh, that's not what I wanted to do, Kim. You can click on win a copy and get to the form. Thank you, Kathy. You're so kind. You can get to this form and fill it in, and only fill it in once. Yesterday, I was doing a training for MTSS, and one of the participants, just to get me, he filled it in 5 times, just for so much fun. The name of the group is Empowered Adventure, and the ED on Empowered is the ED of Adventure. All right, so go ahead and get that form filled in. I'm going to stop sharing real quick so I can go find that form. And let me get there.
While you're looking, may I ask a question?
Absolutely.
When you did this in the pandemic, I'm thinking of, I teach virtually as well. Did you ever do a thick slide, Jigsaw Iron Chef, send it out for them to collaborate outside of your online class, come back the next week and share out?
I often did that, where they had to do the work while offline or asynchronously, and then we did the sharing and such synchronously. So I did do that quite often.
Oh, good. Thanks.
Mm-hmm. Okay, now we've got, has anyone filled in the form yet? Okay, let me refresh.
Yes.
Oh, that's so weird. Thank you, Paula. Okay, why is this? Okay. Oh, it's still refreshing. That's why. I'm not watching the screen showing me that it's doing this. Okay. I missed some of the chat while trying to make this work. Okay. Sorry, guys. The name of the Facebook group, it's on that last slide. It's linked right there. It's called Empowered Adventure. And it's also on my slide. Okay. All right, well, I am not able to finish up the raffle due to my spreadsheet is not repopulating to show me that. So I will do the raffle after we get off of this, and I will email you if you won the book. I'm sorry, that kind of is a buzzkill at the end of this to not have that. I apologize, but we can only do so much with the technology in front of us. So feel free to email me if you have any questions, and thanks for spending your day with me. You have a great rest of your time here.